Hello and welcome to Policy and Politics with me, Tarun Nangia. This is our special show on the budget, on the upcoming budget. And let me first read out to you what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said day before yesterday at the launch, where he, in a sense, launched many development projects, including the regional rapid transit system, which is one of the fastest trains in India, which connects the NCR region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, and I quote, over the past decade, the government's primary focus has been on infrastructure development. And that, he said, 10 years ago, the yearly budget for infrastructure was 2 lakh crores. It is now increased to over 11 lakh crores. That is indeed a great jump. 11 lakh crores can create a lot of infrastructure. Of course, infrastructure generation helps in job creation, which we need in India, also impacts a lot of many industries. And clearly, with the Prime Minister speaking this out, it seems to be that this is the top focus of the Narendra Modi government. But I have a panel of experts who will throw more light on this subject and what the budget should focus on with respect to infrastructure creation. Let me welcome Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. He, as you know very well, is the chief spokesperson for economic affairs for the Bharatiya Janata Party, a well-known face in the media and also in the newspapers. Thank you for your time and looking forward to some interesting comments from you. We have with us Ma'am Aruna Sharma. As you all know, Ma'am is an IS officer who served as the Secretary, Ministry of Steel, which is a key infrastructure ministry, also in the Ministry of IT. She was also later member on the digitization of payments. It's an RBI committee, and of course, currently she is a board member. Good to see you, ma'am, and looking forward to some interesting insights from you on these important sectors. I have with me Rakesh Nangia, is chairman of Nangia Anderson Consulting India Private Limited. They work with the government, and also he in a sense has an exposure to the infrastructure sector, is also a chartered accountant. Good to see you, Mr. Nangia, and looking forward to some insights from you on this and also what the government seems to be doing on the infrastructure front. At the outset, let me request Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal to take on from what the Prime Minister had said and where the government is going as far as the infrastructure is concerned. Over to you, Gopalji.
Thank you, Tarunji, and my good wishes to all my fellow panelists and through your channel to all the viewers. We are approaching the budget very soon, and I think everybody is looking forward to some great announcements from the government. And economy is, we all know that economy is at a very important juncture where the India's potential to be an economic strong country is very much in sight, but we have to work towards that goal. That's also very important. It is not an autopilot that our economy is. The government has to continuously work for it. And for work, create an ecosystem for economic growth. And what Tarunji, you have said is, and with the Prime Minister's remark 2-3 days back when he inaugurated in the metro, and today also, yesterday also when he announced 2 lakh crores infrastructure and other development projects in Andhra Pradesh, they all point out towards where the focus of the Prime Minister is. He wants to create a very robust infrastructure for the country, and it is with 2 objectives. One is that it will create ease of doing business, reducing logistic cost and other facility, transportation of raw material, finished goods across the country, and taking the developmental aspects to the remotest geographical areas of the country through Gramin Sadak Yojana and other things, connecting rail, then Sagarmala project, then connecting airways to the remotest place with low-cost air connectivity. Railway is a big focus area for the government. So road, railways, airways, waterways, and rural roadways, in addition to national highways and highway. So this infrastructure push with bridges and other things, airports, etc., will create what we say the Prime Minister calls is an ecosystem where logistic cost for transportation will be reduced, and at the same time the ease of doing business will increase and our industry will become competitive. And the second aspect benefit of this is that along with the infrastructure of this push, where it will be ease of doing business, there will be ease of living for every common man. I go to Dehradun, I go to Agra. Now it is so nobody is at all worried ki how my whole day will be spent in going to a place like Haridwar, Rishikesh, Dehradun, Mathura, all these areas in NCR and other regions, even Pune, Bombay, etc. Everywhere there, Jaipur, Rajasthan, the roads are very smooth and very fast. So ease of living and ease of doing business. And third important factor is about creating the demand. What is happening in the economy is that the government is spending a lot. Government is one of the major spend factor which spends the money to create liquidity into system, create demand into the system. And which demand for steel, cement, construction equipment, and all other services sector, etc., will create demand in the economy, which will increase, which will attract private investment formation also. So, creating demand for the private investment to crowd in, at the same time, ease of living and ease of doing business. And this is the main focus of infrastructure development. It will help the industries also. And that's very important. Make our industries competitive at the global level. And this is not only 1 year. You quoted 1 year's figure that but he has said that our infrastructure spending over the last 10 years has continuously increased. So that's also very important. It is now continuously 3 or 4 years post-COVID that the government expenditure on infrastructure through NIP, National Infrastructure Project, etc., is very robust, and it is over more than 10 lakh crores.
Point very well taken. In fact, it is a good point to note that government had prepaid its loans worth 50,000 crores, which is the NHAI, and that's why we reduced. I mean, we saved a lot of money on interest cost. And before going to Ma'am Aruna Sharma, I would also like to ask her whether the government should be in the business of building infrastructure and selling infrastructure. So we build a road asset, we build an airport, we build an RRTS, then we give it to the private sector, raise money and build further assets. So basically government can build infrastructure and sell infrastructure, because to have money in perpetuity may be difficult. But if we bid out assets to the private sector, at least it will be maintained very well and we'll get more money to build even more infrastructure. How do you see that infrastructure push also going? Over to you, ma'am.
You are absolutely right, Tarun. When you are talking about the government putting the first money forward for building the infrastructure, it is exactly the same scenario when we got independence, and for big industries, we have to invest into the PSUs, and that was the way the big industries came up. So today, India being a low infrastructure country, that kind of money is not available in the private sector. If you look at it, in fact, the private participation has decreased significantly. It
Yes.
used to be around 160 billion US dollars, and now, it is slowly tapering to $39.2 billion. Whereas the government capex, what rightly has been said by my co-panelist, over the last 5 years, it has been 43.63 lakh crores. So year on year, the government is investing in the infrastructure, which is very important for adding to the arguments which has been already put forward by Mr. Gopal Krishna. The other arguments which goes into it is, number one, that India has to generate employment. And what better way to generate employment in a consistent way through infrastructure? where you can have a skilled body. We need people who know tunneling. We need people with a high quality welding. We need people who can make quality goods. So it will trigger off a range of new areas of employment, which will be of a sustainable nature, as government will be spending year on year. And once that money outflow goes, one has to sort of equally important that you then capitalize that amount or you then recover that amount. And therefore, this equation that then you hand over to the private sector by generating that kind of money, so that what money you push from a government, and government has to take that first step and then sort of keep it on a rolling mode so that you keep on getting the money to continue for this investment in the infrastructure. So this is very, very important. And any connectivity is a must for an inclusive growth, because becoming $5 trillion economy is not a singleton goal that India has. Becoming a $5 trillion economy which is inclusive and enhance the per capita GDP. So with that kind of an intention, it is very important that it is through infrastructure expansion, which goes into the buildings for schools and hospitals, which goes into, of course, the roads for the railways, and then, of course, the infrastructure, what we get for the internet, then telecom, then, all these things put together will have ensure that there is an access to the general public for their own growth, and the country also gets an access when we are going ahead with it. So that is how it is. So therefore, I think it's a very good model.
Point very well taken. I'll go to Mr. Rakesh Nangia from Nangia Anderson India. Mr. Nangia, two things. The government has an appetite to build a lot of infrastructure, but to raise money is also a challenge. In that background, how can the private sector support this endeavor, and how can foreign direct investment, say from pension funds in Canada, say from various different say maybe from Abu Dhabi, and they are interested, people from UAE want to invest in India. How can that, in a sense, take forward the India story, where they see India as a magnet for investing?
Good evening, everyone. Tarun, just need to add and clarify here. See, as a private sector, anybody will only invest in infra which are the long-term gestation projects and have a lot of underlying challenges. You'll find dominantly the money comes from India, from the government. And you take the typical case of India. You'll be surprised that more than 75 to 80% of the investment that comes on infrastructure will be coming only from the government. Now the scenario has changed. Now government is also a win-win situation. Government pumps in money faster. Government is able to monetize that. Government is getting a good ROI. You rightly mentioned, I know a lot of figures about the pension funds, the way they have invested money. You take the all road assets in India, which are the government or the private sector or NIA and NPL have invested money, all are actually getting a good ROI. So because the whole dynamics have changed in terms of developing the infrastructure, you have to use and pay. Basically, it brings in efficiency. It has a cost cutting, cost saving, logistic cost. Everything is a gain and gain and gain there. So it will even a commercial decision. Now it's not any government is giving a dole. Government is not giving. Government is investing money through SPVs or through any shape, investing its own capital, but for the purpose of monetizing it and bringing in capital and earning money out of it. So you see there's continuous auctions of road assets taking place. Similarly happening with the solar assets, non-conventional energy. So it's a time of change, actually. The dynamics have changed. And if you have to grow an infrastructure, so where the money will come in, the biggest contributor will be the government. And now this has a realization of dawn in now, basically. You can't help it, actually. Private sector, predominantly do not have that capital appetite or risk appetite. They do invest money, but not to that extent. But in case of a road, you will be surprised there are so many road private sector projects also, because the economics have changed. The economics is they are making money in the whole process. It's a good business proposition also. The challenge was the legal hurdles, the administrative hurdles, the other hurdles in executing these projects. Government, especially this government, when they came in last 10 years, they removed or wiped out. You see the statement of Mr. Gadkari. They wiped out all the hurdles as much as possible, sorting them out, whatever, whether it was a banking, whether it was acquisition, whether it was safety, whether it was the green issues, they wiped out. So the whole paradigm shift has taken place in government. I must tell you one thing. the investment, when we talk about the investment last year, which is the current year, the investment was 11.11 lakh crore. This was 3.5%, 3.4% of GDP, which was invested in the infrastructure project. And you'll be surprised. It is government investment has gone up by, or investment has gone up by 5 times in previous 10 years. See the humongous size which I'm talking about it. Even in the previous 5 years, the annual growth is 27%. Nobody will put money if there's no economic consideration. And there's the economic consideration, there's the growth in the country, there's the GDP growth in the country, there's the infra, right, Gopalji mentioned about the logistic costs going down. This all brings efficiency in the whole process and in the whole ecosystem.
Point very well taken. As we go from a $3.9 trillion economy to a 5 trillion economy, Gopalji, if you could throw some light on this, how could we get more foreign direct investments? Do we give them assured return so that India is a market where foreign companies from, be it Japanese companies, be it companies from Europe, be it companies from America, when they see that there is an assured return over a 30-40 year period, they will bring in billions of dollars of investment, because this country requires that growth, which a lot of other countries may not witness because there is issues like population decline and else, where this is a growing market. What needs to be done in your view to get, in addition to what the government is spending, to get more money for development?
Tarunji, this is important that global geopolitics and geoeconomics require that more and more countries attract foreign capital investment, FDI, and everybody is pushing itself to get more and more FDI. And particularly Southeast Asian countries are more prone to get trying to attract more FDI. Important thing is that we have to manage. We are working in a open market economy. We are not working in a closed economy like China and other thing. Indian economy and our government believes in open market economic forces to work for the economic growth and development of the country. So how do you use, which instruments are there to attract FDI? I think important thing is, one is they are finding good opportunities for domestic market. India is a huge domestic market, and there are middle class which is growing more and more at a very fast pace, is spending a lot of money. We have to create more liquidity to the middle class. This budget will give an opportunity for the government to look into measures where more money, disposable income is there with the middle class and other taxpayers, direct taxpayers and corporate taxes people. So this is one way where we increase consumption, increase the size of a market. This increased size of market automatically attracts foreign investors to invest into greenfield projects and other brownfield projects, one thing. Second important factor, macroeconomic factor, which affects FDI funds flow is rate of interest. Already India has a high rate of interest compared to the countries you mentioned about Japan, America, other European countries. So automatically that flow of money is going to come to India because of differential interest rate. And third important factor is about the foreign exchange rate management, foreign exchange management. We have a huge reserves at present with the RBI. RBI is in a very good position to get into an open market operations to manage currency issues. And I think through that management of currency, dollar, rupee rate and open market operations, RBI can look into what is the best options for valuation of rupee dollar versus import and export requirement and other fund flow requirements. So these important macroeconomic steps by RBI, monetary policies, will help. I don't think we need to go for a fixed return sort of thing. Already India is in the, though at the global level, the net flow of FDI to different countries is zero, and Southeast Asian countries are not attracting much FDI. But India is one of the outliers which is attracting the highest FDI flows over last 3-4 years from the in considering the world fund flows also. So I think we have to focus on monetary policy. Interest rate is sufficiently high to attract FDI. RBI has sufficient reserves to manage foreign exchange valuation requirement to ease out on the balance of payment issues, and our domestic market is quite large. What we have to do, and I think it's an important point in this budget, is about integrating our manufacturing to regional and global supply chain. That is also very important. If a car manufacturer in US procures products, components, automobile components from India. So if our manufacturing industry, automobile manufacturing component industry develops, it is in their interest. So they will invest into this industry. What we have to also do is integrate our domestic industry to other regional supply chain, because we may also procure some of the parts from other countries. So integrating our manufacturing to regional supply chains and global supply chains will help the industries. For that, we have to make our industries competitive. It boils down to a circular, same thing is making our industry competitive, and we have to look into 360 degrees of growth and development. One example I'll give you is about the automobile, this mobile industry. What we have seen that almost 60% of the US iPhone consumption is at present being imported from India, because our mobile phone industry has integrated a lot with the US demand and their supply chain, global supply chain. But we are also importing. Value addition is not as high as we want it to be, because we are also procuring battery from somewhere, a screen from some other place, and other things. So we have to work on increasing the value addition also. So this is what I think will attract the FDI for India.
Point very well taken. I'll go to Ma'am Aruna Sharma for two basic points. Railways has yet been unexplored. There is a lot more development yet to happen in railways, but there is another kind of infrastructure, which is cloud infrastructure. Microsoft last week said it's going to invest 24,000 crore rupees in cloud and AI infrastructure. So, you know, the story there with FDI is also moving pretty fast. We are getting a lot of investment in cloud and AI.
Yes, you are absolutely right. So that is also a very, very important infrastructure. And more so now, recently, you must have seen DPDP rules have come up for data protection. So that will require a lot of investment by both multinationals as well as Indian company which store the databases or which have personal data with them. So that kind of an investment will be a big attraction that will be needed. And definitely a lot of FDI will flow in there for in terms of the cloud investment that we are going to have, and also in the infrastructure by using the AI technology. And AI technology development, we do have brains in India. So if the government policies are facilitating it, then definitely it will go in a very, very big way to encourage more and more investments when we are working for it. And this kind of an investment is something which we do have Indian clouds also. We have an NIC cloud, we have government cloud, because a lot of database which the government insists should be parked in the cloud maintained by the government is very much encouraging, and it's around there. Besides the private clouds which are being maintained for the transactional basis or in the basis where they store the data for their business. So this kind of an arrangement is going to be a big boost. And you can imagine 1.4 trillion population, which is very, very mobile savvy, which has absorbed the mobile payment so quick across the globe that it has become a story in itself. So with this kind of an arrangement, you can well imagine that when the AI possibilities are multifold, and definitely the Indian brains also have an opportunity to be part of this entire development ecosystem.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.